Now, Henry, when I asked Vladimir Putin to show me his hypersonic missiles, he told me he'd already deployed them in the Arctic, and that was over a year ago now. In your mind, is Brussels going to see this as a major escalation?
Morning, Hadley. No, I think Brussels and other Western capitals, NATO, will see this as classic Putin, the Putin that you know well as well. Issue oblique military threats, give Western capitals something to think about. We've seen him do this before with chemical weapons, biological weapons, and of course nuclear weapons during the course of the now 11 months of the war in Ukraine. As you've said, these missiles have already been deployed and they can be fired from all around the world. So effectively putting them on a ship and sailing them into the Atlantic doesn't really change Russia's ability to fire them at Western capitals, but it does sort of, if you like, wave these military capabilities in the face of the West. It has three main aims. The first is to keep this concept of escalation in Western leaders' heads, make them continually think, oh goodness, if we keep supporting Ukraine, maybe the war gets bigger and comes towards us. The second is to try to pretend, at least, that even though his army is being pretty woefully exposed as inadequate in Ukraine, that they're actually a modern, capable army with cutting-edge weapons. And the third, Hadley, really importantly, is domestic. Putin's under a lot of pressure in Russia from nationalists and from those who would want to see him do more, be more aggressive towards the West. And so this is one way of him saying to them, well, okay, I'm going to do things that maybe not the West wouldn't like to see. And I do have a front foot. I'm not continually being beaten and being exposed as weak.
Absolutely. I mean, the comments from President Putin over the last 24 to 48 hours essentially suggest that, Russia needs to get set for this to be a long-haul fight, that this isn't going to be over quickly. And it's a change of tone, frankly, than what we've seen over the first months of this conflict. To your mind, what is the NATO response here? Are we going to see any changes?
I think you're going to see NATO a little bit more of the same, but potentially also stepping up. As you said just now, with the French deliveries, potential US and even German deliveries of heavy armored vehicles. These are things that Ukraine has been calling for, as you know, for months and months and months. And I think NATO is saying, well, okay, if this is going to be a long, drawn-out war, if this winter, as many people are saying, is going to be crucial, then this is the time we need to make sure we're giving Ukraine all the things we've promised. And of course, the Patriot missile battery coming in is a big part of that, but also giving the Ukrainians more beef, more power, more armor on the ground. This is going to be a pretty grim winter of fighting. And so anything the West can provide that is heavy duty as the war potentially becomes more attritional, which is what we saw earlier in the conflict, coming back, that's going to help Keith. One thing I would say, fascinating really, the West has been tying itself in knots earlier on about escalation and about how this could potentially bubble over and become a war in NATO, become a war in Europe. The escalation that we've really seen is escalation in Russia. This war has completely gone wrong for Putin. The escalation is all on his side. He's the one having to call up more troops. He's the one having to admit for the first time this week that the Russian conscripts were killed en masse in a missile strike on a base. He's the one having to deal with unexpected consequences and spillover. And I think that's something that I think NATO will be happy about, and will try to keep pushing that element of this war, making it more and more uncomfortable for Putin.